All right, guys, what's up? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And every once in a while, whenever I feel like I need to make a video and want to, because it doesn't necessarily require me to play or grind a game, but there's something of importance to talk about, I have no problem making a video. And the shorts I absolutely love making. You know, they don't require me to play a game. You know, I can make a quick 3-minute clip. And by the way, thank you so much, guys, for the support on the shorts. I really appreciate that. I'm very surprised I've been getting the kind of views that I've been getting on them. But back to what I said previously, though, this is actually one of those times because as of yesterday, as of the time of this recording, Microsoft announced during Halo World Championship, by the way, during that event, Microsoft has officially unveiled the new Halo game. And it's not really a new Halo game. It's Halo Combat Evolved, remastered and reimagined yet again, except this time it's got a lot more bells and whistles to it. There's Unreal 5, which has its, positives and its negatives to it. And they've added in a few things. They've even added a few more missions. But for the most part, it is basically a visually, and to a certain extent, some gameplay elements, of the original Halo Combat Evolved campaign reimagined by today's standards, so to speak, right? So there's nothing really too original about it. And in my opinion, as someone who was there when I first touched Halo Combat Evolved when I was 18, I can tell you that in my opinion, and you guys can agree or disagree, which is completely fine, which is one of the beautiful things about life and content creation as well, is, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And at the same time, I can't help but think that 343, or should we say now Halo Studios, and as I mentioned in my short, you can put lipstick on a pig, it'll still be a pig, right? So my viewpoint is that once again, there's a red flag because you are showing a lack of creativity. Halo is in a position right now to where, I mean, they even renamed the studio, right? You're going to have the PlayStation 5 and beyond, right? That's going to be having access to Halo now, which is good. You know, we've been calling for that for years, but I mean, granted, Halo was what put Xbox on the map in the first place. Over 50% of the regular Xboxes were sold because of Halo. That's how great Halo Combat Evolved was. Now, obviously, in the year 2025, things are different and a lot of things have changed. But one of the things that they need to do with Halo, right, is they need to keep creating new things, but not literally taking the entire concept of what the lore was and just attaching to it, making it look prettier, add in a couple of other toppings here and there, and release it and call it a new Halo game. Because especially for those of us that have been around long enough, and most of us have, you can tell that it's not new. Now, granted, I'm a sucker for a remaster or a reimagining just like anybody else, especially if it's a game that I grew up playing, that I grew up loving. And Halo Combat Evolved, personally for me, man, this is a hard decision to make, but it's definitely one of the better campaigns of all the Halo games. Halo 3 ODST is up there. Halo 3 was great. Reach was great. 2 was great. Halo 4 was actually solid as well. Halo 5 and Halo Infinite, not so much in terms of the campaign. But with that being said, they're basically taking the Bungie formula and just putting bells and whistles and a few additional toppings on there and calling it a new Halo game, which to me shows a lack of creativity. Now, I know that multiplayer is coming. It's probably either being created separately or whatever the deal is, which is fine. I wouldn't be too surprised if they announced it at Championship Sunday tomorrow. But again, with that being said, one of the things that I can't help but think is, like, when I look at, for instance, Call of Duty, even though I haven't played COD in like, what, 5 years now, or since the beginning of Vanguard, one of the things that I've noticed is that when it comes to running out of ideas with creativity or seeing that they've gone the wrong way, they're gonna bring back what worked in the past. So for Halo to do that with a brand new game from the get-go, especially when it comes to campaign, it's like, can't you guys just take notes of what made the original Halo campaign great in the first place and create something new from scratch? You're never going to able to fully recreate the magic of what happened over 20 years ago. Because that's how long it's been, folks. 24 years ago, 25 by the time the game releases, since we got the Halo Combat Evolved campaign in 2001. I didn't play it until 2003, but 2001 was when we got that. You can't recreate that magic simply because of the time in terms of the relevance of when it happened. And that's what they're trying to do. And you can't do that. And I've said it time and time again, back when I was even covering Call of Duty. And I'll say it again here, now. If you try to remaster Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which is the greatest Call of Duty ever, in my opinion, from a multiplayer perspective, if you were to do that today, even without the SBMM and all that kind of stuff, and it's just a better feeling and better playing game than what we got like 12, 13 years ago, it's not something that's gonna last too long after it releases. The magic of how good that game feels and how good it plays and stuff like that isn't gonna last long, because we've been there before. Despite the fact that the game looks better now, and the game feels better, it's still in essence the same game, right? So you want to talk about taking something away and then bringing it back later and putting a price tag on it and selling it? That's exactly what they're doing here with Halo, just like they've done with COD, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video. Because again, history is repeating itself in this way, and they're looking to profit off of it. Obviously, they've gotten away with it with COD. It worked, but at the same time, you know, in the long run, it doesn't really do good for the franchise. So it's like, you know, I personally am just having a little bit of trouble completely understanding as to why they can't just create something from scratch, right? Because when you look at what they created over the years with Halo, obviously it's just been something that's been evolving. But even when you look at when 343 took over, they created something original from scratch, including the maps and a few other things, stuff like that. They took the original concept, but they made it different. They didn't copy and paste anything that didn't belong. You know what I mean? You know, obviously things like the battle rifle and the jumping with the floaty and stuff like that, that's Halo. That has to stay. You know, the time to kill, that has to stay. The gunplay, the being accurate from across the hip, that's got to stay. That's Halo DNA. Things like that have to stay. But when you're talking about literally recreating the maps and levels and stages here and there, and just adding in 2 or 3 more, and bringing back the voice actors again to, you know, maybe add in a few lines of dialogue here and there to make it, you know, to make it look quote unquote prettier and better and stuff like that. It's, in my opinion, that's really just a cheap way, you know, to get profits. And it doesn't require as much effort, because if you're recreating something that's already been put into concept already from the year before 2021, then, you know, that's something that's a job you're not doing. All you're doing is recreating the exact same thing and making it prettier. That's it. You're not really, if you think about it, you're not really creating all that much. So, you know, it's really a bittersweet thing. And I really hate to say, you know, a lot of people are going to hate this video. A lot, you know, any Halo fan that's going to look at this is going to tell me to go fuck myself. It's like, dude, I love the franchise as much as all the other people that have been there since the beginning, because I was there. I was 18 years old in the year 2003 when I first played it, which was 2 years too late because I didn't have an Xbox at the time. And I've played every single Halo game since. And most of the Halo games I loved. Halo 5 had an excellent campaign. I'm sorry, Halo 5 had an excellent multiplayer, but the campaign sucked. Halo 4 had an excellent campaign, but the multiplayer wasn't where it should have been. And Halo Infinite, solid multiplayer, but the campaign itself was very bland, in my opinion. Sure, they put in open world, but again, bland. What is the one thing about Halo that over the years has gotten people more invested? One of those things is a story. One of the things that made Halo so special was the fact that you had people that cared for the campaign as much as they cared for the multiplayer. Almost every single Halo player, if not all of the Halo players, were grinding campaign, whether it was solo, whether it was couch co-op, whether it was online co-op when it finally became a thing. They wanted to attempt to beat it on Legendary, and let alone try to find all the skulls so that way they can try Lasso, which is Legendary All Skulls On, which is also known as Mythic for those OGs out there. It's a very quote-unquote impossible way to beat the game, but people step up to the challenge all the time. So with that being said, when you've got a concept like that in play, you need to keep it intact. Now, we know that the multiplayer is being developed, but the question is, what are they going to do? Are they going to make it similar to the Halo campaign, to where it's just going to be like how Halo 1 was, Halo Combat Evolves multiplayer, but finally having an online component and maybe adding in a few things here and there? Because we know already, because they had a roundtable, we know that they're going to have this with Halos 2 and 3. They're going to remake parts 2 and 3, if I remember correctly, just like they're going to remake this one, or just like they did this one. Are they going to do that with the multiplayer as well? Are they going to literally redo those multiplayers with a few additions and omissions and just try to make them better of what they were in the past? Like, listen, like I said before, I am all about, I'm 41. Nostalgia, I love. Okay? Anything that makes me feel 18 again, even if it's just temporary, even if it's just a really powerful illusion, I'm all for it. But one thing that we can't ignore is that things need to move forward. You can't live in the fantasy world forever. You need to move forward. You need to create new things. You need to make the story go forward. You need to introduce new characters, introduce new weapons, new gameplay elements without disrupting what the foundation of Halo is in the first place. Because that is what makes Halo unique. Halo is an arena shooter made for console, with all due respect to the PC players. It's an arena shooter that plays the way it plays because it was made originally for console. Okay, it wasn't meant to be something like a Quake or anything like that. It was specifically made for console. The changes that were made in terms of what you would get from a Quake or another arena shooter was changed to fit the console universe, the controller, the speed and movement that players would be used to from a controller, as well as, you know, the console variation. So again, that needs to remain intact. The essence and the spirit of that. I'm not saying it shouldn't be available on PC. I'm simply saying that the essence of what it is needs to be intact. Simple as that. So if I had to say anything, it would be to don't be afraid to create. And all I hope is that Microsoft doesn't continue repeating its mistakes, because Halo Infinite paid dearly for that, and it took over 2 years for that game to get to where it was supposed to be. 2 years. Which is a damn shame, especially when they tried to release it a year prior to when it got released. And from the backlash and all that stuff. You know. So, don't be afraid to get creative, especially if you've got the right cooks in the kitchen. But unfortunately, I think a lot of the guys that work at the studio now are the people that worked on the Master Chief Collection, which was, in essence, a, you know, remaster, and they just brought back the original trilogy and then some, right? And then they obviously added the multiplayer with the filters, which is great. Obviously, that launched very badly. and it took them 3 years to recover. But after that, it's like, dude, you know, um, that is, I think that's one of the reasons why it's going like this. It's like, it's almost like they've hired a specific team to remaster a game that was already made, make it look better, make it play better, make it modern, add in a few bells and whistles here and there, call it new, and release it. I don't know. I mean, it's like on one hand, it's like cool, you know, to see a modern version of something you grew up playing when you were younger. But at the same time, you got to realize that things need to move forward. So I don't know, man. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. And I made a commentary about this because I care about the franchise of Halo. And as much as I love the fact that it's also going on PlayStation, at the same time, I'm looking at what Microsoft is doing, and it's like, you know, um, it's almost like they don't care what happens anymore because they already have so much money. So if the gaming division is going to disappear, they don't care as long as that bank account is full. Because as far as I understand, their gaming division isn't doing so well. But if they're going to make a 70% profit off of getting their games onto PlayStation or other consoles as well, then I mean, Microsoft is slowly but surely heading in a direction of Sega, to where Sega didn't make consoles anymore, but their games are still being distributed among multi-platforms. I think if we keep going in this direction, that's what's going to happen with Microsoft. The difference being is that Microsoft is not broke. So we'll see what happens. But this commentary was definitely long enough, but it's been a while since I made one, and I wanted to do it. So with that being said, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And thank you all again for the support on the shorts. And if there's anything you guys want me to talk about as far as the shorts are concerned, let me know. And when the time comes for me to make a video again, I'll see you next time.